Hello and welcome back to the Dante in a Year podcast. My name is Danny Fitzpatrick. Let's continue with Dante's Paradiso, Canto 26. While I doubted in my spent sight, from the refulgent flame that spent it, issued a breath that made me attentive, saying, "Till the instant you sense again in that vision you've consumed in me, it's good you make recompense in reasoning. Commence then, and say where your soul has set itself, and be certain that your sight is merely marred and not defunct. For the lady who conducts you through this sacred region has in her regard the virtue the hand of Ananias had." I said, "At her pleasure, whether swiftly or slow, let the remedy come to my eyes, which were the portals where she entered with the flame in which I ever burn. The good that makes this court content is Alpha and Omega of what Scripture love reads me, whether lightly or aloud." That same voice that had lifted the fear of my sudden blindness made me careful of reasoning further, and it said, "It's certain you must scour with a finer sieve. You must say who directed your bow to such a target." And I, through philosophic arguments and through the authority that here descends, that such love must be impressed in me. For the good, inasmuch as it's good, as it's understood, so in sense is love, and so much more the more bounty it comprehends in itself. Then to the essence which is so advantaged that each good without it is found to be none other than a light of its ray, the mind of any who discern the truth on which this proof is founded must be moved in loving more than in any other thing. He extends such truth to my intellect, who shows me the prime love of all the sempiternal substances. The voice of the author of truth extends it, the one who says to Moses, speaking of himself, "I will make you see all my power." You extended it to me as well, commencing the high counsel that cries the arcane way of this place over any other nature there below. And I heard, "Through the human intellect and the authorities in accord with it, the sovereign of your loves regards God. But say if you sense still other chords drawing you toward him, such that you sound with how many teeth this love gnaws you." The sacred intention of the eagle of Christ was not hidden. Rather, it occurred to me where he willed to lead my profession. So I recommenced. All those gnawings that can make the heart turn to God course together in my love. For the essence of the world and my own, the death that he sustained for me to live, and that which all the faithful hope as I, with the vivid recognition which I spoke, have drawn me from the sea of the tortured love, and have placed me on the shore where it's erect. I love the fronds of which all the gardens of the eternal gardener are enfronded, just as much as his good is born in them. Just as I was quiet, a most sweet song resounded through the heaven, and my lady said with the others, "Sanctus, Sanctus, Sanctus." And as sleep's undone by sharp light for the spirit of vision that rushes to the splendor that goes from lid to eye, and the one awakened abhors what he sees, knowing nothing in his sudden waking until the estimate of sense succor him. Thus Beatrice, with rays from her eyes, refulgent from 1,000 miles off, set to flight all the scales from mine, at which I saw them better than before, and half stupefied I inquired of a fourth light that I saw among us. And my lady, "Within these rays the first soul the prime mover ever created longs for its maker. As the frond whose crown flits in the transit of the wind, and then lifts itself by that proper power that inclines it, so, wondering, was I made when she spoke, and then the desire with which I had to speak made me secure once more. And I commenced. O apple who alone was produced mature, O antique father to whom each spouse is daughter and daughter-in-law, devoutly as I can I supplicate you that you speak to me. You see my will, and to hear you sooner I say it not." At times an animal, covered, rustles such that its desire must appear as its veiling follows its motion. And similarly the first soul made apparent to me through its covering how happily it came to please me. Then it breathed, "Without your professing it to me, I better discern your will than you see that of which you're most certain, For I see it in the truthful glass that makes it itself the appearance of other things, while nothing makes it the appearance of itself. You wish to hear how long it is since God set me in the exalted garden where she disposed you for this stare so long, and how long it was a delight to my eyes, and the proper cause of the great disdain, and the language which I used and I made. Now, my son, it was not the tasting of the wood in itself that was the cause of such exile, but solely the trespass of the seal. There, whence your lady moved Virgil, I desired this counsel 4,302 volumes of the sun, and I saw it return to all the lights of its path 930 times, while I was myself on earth. The tongue that I spoke was all spent before the people of Nimrod attended to the work they couldn't consummate. For nothing ever affected by reason, since human pleasures made new, following on the heavens, could ever endure. It's a natural work that man speak, but this way or that, nature then lets you act according to what seems lovely to you. Before I descended to the eternal anguish, the sum of good was called E on earth, the good whence comes the joy that binds me. And then he was called El, and this must be, for the custom of mortals is as a frond on a branch, which goes and another comes. I was on the mount that most raises itself from the waves, with pure and then dishonest life, from the first hour to that which ascends to the sixth, as the sun shifted quadrants. Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Dante in a Year podcast. See you next time for Dante's Paradiso, Canto 27.